want to share with you, I guess you could call it attitudes or practices, just lifestyle changes, I guess, really helped me to improve on the quality of my life, and that's including physical, emotional, and mental aspects, relationships, you name it. Just basically live a fuller life, or I would even say live a life, because I think for a long time there was a lot of different aspects and issues and challenges that I was facing that really kind of almost disabled me from living a life. And I kind of divided into three sections, but these are fluid. This is just kind of for organizational purposes, so it's a bit easier to understand and make it a bit more digestible and compact. I might make videos on specific different areas, because there's just so much to cover today. I'm just mentioning the basics, and just to give you a little bit of my background. My journey began when I got pretty sick after my 5-year-old boy now was born, and I triggered with arthritis, a lot of pain, severe psoriasis, chronic fatigue, all sorts of different crazy symptoms that would keep me in bed with a newborn for weeks, whilst my husband was basically looking after us, looking after the house. And I was very desperate to get better, and because I didn't want to rely on sort of mainstream medicine, medication that was already kind of presented to me as really dangerous and might cause me some other serious diseases, I just went on a journey of searching and trying and testing things to improve my life, to live a life, as I couldn't really do it then. Just to give you an example, I would basically just be in bed, able to go to the toilet, maybe bathroom, take a shower, and then just, feed my baby. Or let's say with my chronic fatigue, I would sleep for, let's say, 14 hours a day, 10 hours at night, and then 4 hours sort of napping throughout the day. And I'd still be so exhausted, so brain fogged, that I couldn't really do anything apart from just keeping myself and my child alive. So it wasn't really much life in it. And I was just physical aspect, I guess mental, emotional as well. Because obviously, as you can imagine, chronic disease, if you've ever maybe suffered, you already know, overtakes your life really, and your social life, your physical life, emotional, mental, family life. So my journeys began with looking at the aspect of just basically making my inflammation less, so I can walk and do basic things and I can get up and just live some kind of life. But this kind of took me on a journey of learning about so much that should be just quite like basic and normal and natural to us. But I think because often our lifestyles are like so far away from the healthy ways, the good ways, that it becomes so it becomes like we don't even know it, like it becomes unnatural, or we believe even like lies about certain aspects of life, which you'll see. So I'm gonna begin. I'm gonna focus first on the first section. I've got body, mind, and environment, and as I said, they're kind of fluid and they kind of overlap. But let's start with the body. So the first thing that I changed was approach to nutrition, approach to food. So this would include getting rid of, from my diet, processed food, anything that I didn't know what it was, anything that wasn't natural to the body to consume, ensuring that I get enough nutrition, so not just eating anything, but ensuring that whatever I'm putting in my body actually serves my body and doesn't overwhelm my already struggling body. Obviously idea is to heal and to support body whilst it's healing. And anybody who looked into nutrition already knows that that doesn't only affect our physical health, but our mental and emotional health as well. I would prioritize proteins. Yesterday I neglected my protein at lunch level, and then the whole afternoon was struggle. I could eat a whole cake and I'm still not where I need to be in my physical sort of well-being, like in how I feel in myself. But then obviously that also impact on how I process things, you know, maybe my capacity on how much I can handle, how I can show up, you know, in terms of my energy levels and potential. Like for me it was also like quite a big shift, because in the past food was either something cute to, you know, make and cook, which I enjoyed, or going out to a restaurant, or basically starving myself so I can look a certain way, and then the shift went from that to basically, you know, my body needs nutrition, and I want to be vital, energetic, healthy. I want my body to function the way it needs to. So yeah, nutrition. That would also include supplements, actually, natural supplements, whenever the body needs support whilst it's healing. Then the next step would be body work, and again, it's not in any order. I'm still learning to apply some of it and master some of that. It's not about perfection. It's about basically making your daily choices in a way that basically support your life, and yeah, you know, like we've got this body, this mind, life, you know, it's to live, to look after, you know, and yeah, these are the things that help me. So another thing is body work, and then for me, I would include in this anything from getting a massage or a cardio session, osteopathic session, maybe Western acupuncture, like anything that helps to maintain your body, or helps like anything that helps maybe regulate your nervous system, or bring some calm into your body. I would even include in that anything that I do with my body. So let's say whether it's lymphatic drainage massage, just, you know, kind of DIY, you know, on myself, or just like a little bit of stretch, or massage all over my body. So like actually, like we experimented with my husband, like it's not difficult to massage a person, you know, like massage somebody's feet, you know, there's so much goodness in touch. So so that's something that was new to me again, because in the past I thought massage is something luxurious, you know, it's not for your wellness. I mean, maybe it's when you're really sick, and like in my case that was the case, but it's just, you know, it's natural, like that's how we design. You need touch, we need the body to be experiencing different sensations and pressures, and especially if there is already tension, whether it's in our muscles or fascia, this will impact our health. And I can really testify that implementation of body work improves in how I feel and how I prevent certain reactions in my body or my mind, or even in my emotions. In body work and body, the next point, body awareness, I would also include my posture. So I've learned that a lot of trauma, stress is held in the body, whether it is tension in your shoulders, your neck, or pulling off the fascia, that then, you know, obviously that impacts a lot of different things internally in our body, but also in terms of our nervous systems, how we cope with stress, and yeah, like how our nervous system works in general. And so you can see that. So posture, ensuring that my posture allows for the breath to, you know, to go through my body, that the oxygen to flow through all areas of my body, for my brain to get enough oxygen. I haven't been diagnosed, but like I have this thing that at night I just basically stop breathing, and sometimes I hold my breath even throughout the day as I maybe stress about something or face some sort of challenges. So I noticed that, you know, like if you think about how vital it is to receive enough oxygen into your body, it is a big deal. And you know, there's a lot of information that you can access on different breathing techniques and techniques in terms of like on how you can stay calm, or how you bring your nervous system to that place of calm and regulation when you maybe struggle, when you struggle maybe with kids, you know, anything like that. So I won't go into detail right now, but what I wanted to kind of mention here as well is together with body work, like I sort of started learning body awareness and checking in with my body. I've lived my life very much in my head and in a very fast-paced sort of manner as well. And that meant that I wasn't so much aware, or like I wasn't really listening to my body. I wasn't recognizing when it was trying to maybe show me that something is off. And so now I practice that more and more, and I can really see an incredible benefit of that. You know, I'm able to meet my needs better. I'm able to stop before maybe I'm about to blow up, or I can recognize better what my body needs in order to show up in the way that I needed to show up. So yesterday, if it wasn't for me checking in with my body, I wouldn't probably recognize that I needed protein, I needed extra calories or anything like that. I would just think, oh my goodness, I'm so anxious or so edgy, you know, like what's going on? Is there, you know, something spiritual? Is there something mental, you know? Like you can really like miss what you need by being outside of your body, like in like just like really not connected with yourself. And that's some, again, next point I just mentioned, knowing my needs, you know, like we are humans and we have human needs, whether these are physical, emotional or mental needs, they're real. And I think for a long time I would push myself to the limit of, basically I think to the point of breaking. Actually, that's why I did break, you know, physically in terms of health, and then also emotionally and mentally, because I never attended to those needs. I just kind of suppressed them because, you know, my priority is to love others, sacrifice myself without even knowing what that means. So and then the final point on the body, in the body section, somehow is simply I wrote it as cry, but I think it's just basically like sometimes our body knows what to do. Like, you know, if sometimes you have this urge of like to cry it out, you know, like maybe that's what you need to do, you know, to be well, to be better. Scientifically, cortisol apparently helps release excess of cortisol in our body. And then imagine if you have some kind of drama, stress, sadness, and you like try to hold it in, you know, you're basically holding in cortisol that's rising in you and straining you on the whether it's in terms of your nervous system. And obviously cortisol will impact other biological functions in our body. When we chronically have high level of cortisol, it will impact our physical health and obviously our emotional and mental health. So I'm gonna now go to the environment, and the first point was toxins. Toxins was one of the first things that I sort of learned about and started dealing with. So that would mean you know, like as I mentioned earlier, processed food, that would mean any additives and anything that I didn't understand. Like, you know, if I researched it wasn't food, I wouldn't eat it. Then anything like detergents, cosmetics, anything that goes on your skin, on your body that you breathe, so candles, perfumes, clothes, you know, ensuring that they all from natural fabrics. We're not perfect, and we like my intention is not to strive for perfection anymore, although I was there within my patterns, but it's so important to do it all at the right for yourself pace, and not like push yourself, because I think for myself, I recognized that it was actually a mechanism, a pattern, maybe a trauma response where I would like force like perfectionism on everything, even when I was trying to recover in my health. So yeah, so like trying to replace like anything that would not be good for us, for our wellness, so for our health. And then for me, that was also replacing any plastic in the kitchen or generally at home, if that was possible, trying to not, even like for my kids, not using plastic toys. Again, like we're not there, but like, you know, we're trying to be intentional. Yeah, toothpaste. And then as time went, I sort of explored other areas of what toxins could be, or like what toxins could surround us and impact our health, especially if you're already struggling and with detoxification and your body's already like fighting something, whether it's just, you know, a normal flu or a chronic disease. So another aspect that I looked at was mold, EMF exposure, and blue light. Yeah, and blue light. I think that's it. So we would then introduce in our lives anti-blue light glasses. We would be more intentional about screen time, about especially screen time in the evening, about time outdoors, and that kind of takes me to the next point. As we sort of as a family address the issues of toxins, we started addressing the issue of like, you know, lack of fresh air, so be out more, exposure to sun that has such important function in our mental health, emotional, but also our physiological health. So let's say, you know, your gut and health and your microbiome health is dependent on exposure to sun. Like, you know, these are crazy things. Or your vitamin D production, or which is like so important for our immune health, and a lot of different things. And so yeah, so sun exposure, and then reduction, or like you know, like we try to basically avoid blue light, if we can, any artificial light. Then something that I think is probably sort of you know, floats somewhere in between the environment and the mind, is boundaries. And this could mean like physical boundaries. This could mean, you know, boundaries in your schedule, like the ability to say no to things that don't serve you, or, you know, discerning on priorities in that sense, but also like a mental and emotional boundaries, relational boundaries. This was something that was like totally new to me, and I'm still learning about like what it means to have boundaries, what boundaries are healthy, how to apply them, how to ensure that they met by myself but also by others. Then the next one is quiet evenings and quality sleep. I struggled with insomnia for a really long time, and I still have nights where I struggle to have a good night's sleep. So that was very important for me to address, and I could really see that was one of the biggest, poor sleep was one of the biggest factors in my health going worse, and also struggling with recovery. So some of the aspects that we, or like myself, let's say me, I addressed was ensuring that I have time to rest and relax in the evening. In the past, I would basically push myself to either entertain with screen, or I would maybe clean the house, you know, late and into the night, you know, things like that. So one thing that really helped me is to slow down, to have no screen time in the evening. If I really had to look at the phone or any lights, I would use my anti-blue light glasses. And then that meant also, you know, maybe pick up a journal and do some journaling, praying, you know, like ensuring that you're able to like reset your mind and almost like deal with your worries, so you don't have to deal with the worries at night when you maybe accidentally wake up for the toilet and then your mind is rushing for another 2 hours. That would mean, getting some fresh air, having a good exposure to sun throughout the day from early morning to evening, so your circadian rhythm is healthy, and that's why I wouldn't look at blue light, ideally in the evening, and then having early night. So I remember one of my favorite YouTube channels, Madison Gray. I remember her saying that she started going to sleep just after her kids went to sleep, so about 7:30, 9 o'clock, and I thought that was madness, pure madness, no life whatsoever. And then I started sort of shifting my day, or like whatever I was doing during the day, towards a different pace, and suddenly going to sleep at 9 o'clock was totally possible, as long as I didn't neglect it, as long as I didn't go back into my old mechanisms and patterns. And so I'm not saying I go to sleep at 9, and most of the time it's 10 o'clock, but I try to be in bed at 8:30, and then if there are times when I supplement myself as well in order to help me sleep. So one of the supplements I would take is magnesium, and you can use magnesium flakes, magnesium spray, magnesium tablets, whatever of good quality you can find, the CBD oil, maybe some herbal teas. Next point is declutter. This was a huge way for me to create space for I guess like opening up to a different way of life. I felt really overwhelmed and busy in my mind for other reasons as well, but I feel like like the external environment was really impacting me. I felt really like miserable. I spent a lot of time cleaning when I already didn't have capacity for much in my life. And the moment I started decluttering, I felt like there was more space in my head, and then obviously physically, to maybe take care of something else that was even more transformational and beneficial to my life, to how to live a fuller life, a happier life, how to love more, how to have capacity for more. And then I think linked to that is finding ways of creating beauty around yourself, and whether it is the way you dress or the way you decorate your home, or even just a tidy home, bringing flowers into the house. I all of a sudden started like buying flowers and having flowers everywhere, or just at least on the dining table. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, decluttering is actually, you can actually sell stuff and make some money on it. And really like made a difference, like almost as if they transformed into this like miserable sort of messy day into something that I can actually enjoy. So now I'm gonna move on to the mind section. So this one is the longest one, but I hope I can just like quickly go through it and hopefully talk about different aspects in a more detailed way some other time. So one amazing thing in trying to stay calm and regulated and create capacity for more of the important things in life is single tasking. My whole life I've been very proud multitasker, and then I was proved that multitasking is not a thing. Multitasking is not anything to be proud of. It's draining, and it takes you out of sort of the present moment, because you're so anxious about completing this and that and just thinking about the next thing. So that was really helpful. The sense of self and knowing that I am my own person, like we were made for freedom, and everything good comes out of that freedom. We can't love without freedom. And I think it's very hard to have good relationships with others when you don't have sense a sense of self. And we can see that with little children, they fight for that sense of self very early. They want to have their own identity, they want to be their own person. Something that was almost like maybe taken away from me, and I didn't really know how to do it, especially when I got sick and things got quite miserable, a lot of other life circumstances, and that was the ability to play, and the ability to find joy and do things that bring you joy, do things just for the sake of pure pleasure, not because it's beneficial, because it's some kind of way of being productive, but just because. And then it really it transforms me. It brings so much peace and calm and happiness. Another point is stillness and mindfulness, being present in a moment and getting out of sort of automated mechanical response to life, but being more like discerning in those quiet moments of where I want to go, what I want my life to be, how do I want to respond in this situation, connecting with your deeper self, connecting with the Holy Spirit. And for that, I had to slow down. I had to create space for that. That also meant that my body could rest. So I actually slowed down my body first, so my mind can slow down, so I can notice life. And that was beautiful. That's beautiful. It is now my go-to when I struggle, when I feel like things get a bit overwhelming. Just going outside, sitting in a hammock or walking in the grass, noticing life, in your body, anything that brings you to the present moment. I learned to bask in love and acceptance. I think for majority of my life, I would focus on problems, issues, solving, saving, and that creates so much stress and anxiety in the body. That has happened to me, and that translated into a lot of the health conditions that I've had. So I take time to either read something that affirms me of the truth that I am loved and accepted fully and unconditionally, and the detail of it, like what it means, or even just work with your imagination. I would sit and imagine me receiving affirmations from Jesus, or or even speaking to myself in a way that was kind and loving. There's this exercise in the book I've read to look in the mirror, look at yourself and speak to yourself as if you were speaking to someone else, and say all the good things and how much you love yourself. Not in a funny, selfish, self-centered way, but we are called to love ourselves. And and with that and the ego stuff, working with my ego, around my ego, and understanding my ego and healing from my ego, being free from my ego, not taking things personally, but knowing that everybody is on a journey, and then that sort of created a lot of space and calm in me, and I guess you then have a bit more understanding towards others. You're more approachable as well. That helps in relationships, and knowing that even if someone maybe didn't show up in the right way, maybe they just don't have capacity for it. Maybe they're not there in terms of their growth and how they see the world, and they see the world around them through the filters that they haven't chosen. And and another thing that is again a huge shift for me is being more in my body and less in my mind, as I think maybe that's a modern thing, glorification of the mind and what we can do with our intellect and our thoughts, and being free from the idea that my thoughts are me, you know. I can capture my thoughts. I can choose what I think. I can meditate on whether wherever my mind goes is right for me or wrong for me. I learned that whatever, you know, our mind thinks, you know, that creates our emotions, that creates our reality, that creates the way we perceive the world. That's why the Bible says, meditate on what's good and praiseworthy and lovely and kind and all of those good things, because, you know, that will create the reality. That will help me see the world in a way that's much more digestible and happy and loving. And with that, I learned that I had my mind focused on like all the bad stuff, and with that, the body responds, right? And the more intentionality for life and will for good living and for love and for healing I would have, my body would respond to that too. I have some other personal examples of how this impacts how we see the world, how we experience the world, but also how our body behaves in terms of its well-being, or actually, you know, developing diseases, but that may be for another video. And two last things. Three last things. One is to relax. I lived my life in a way as if I was responsible for saving the whole world, everyone in my life, everyone I see on news or social media. And obviously that's not true. And then living out identity rather than working towards it. I'm not sure if you have the same experience, but I grew up with a lot of pressure, and it's not even like an obvious pressure, but like an expectation or maybe glorification of doing all the good deeds and almost like proving that you're worthy, proving that you're a good person, a good Christian, that you are loving, you know, and striving towards your identity rather than knowing who you are and living you out of that certainty of who you are, of how good you are, how special you are, important, loving, all of those things, and then living our lives out of that place. So that wasn't a thing for me, and so I had to learn on how to, like, first of all, what am I? Who am I? What is my identity? Am I truly, you know, loved? Am I worthy of love? You know, or do I need to prove myself first? You know, like, so I had to attend to that mess, and that really transformed the way I would actually see the day, how I would actually, like, what I would choose to do throughout the day, like if my thoughts, my commitments, my relationships, and we know that whatever we surround ourselves with, whatever we put into our mind and into our lives will shape us. You know, that's how we were made, that's how we were designed. So if I let's say in the past I wasn't intentional about it, it would be such a random mixed bag of things that actually shape me, and then I live this random life that is not even my choice. So yeah, this was a big one. And then the final point is to take ownership. It took a long time for me, I think, to believe that I can take ownership over my life. Doesn't mean, like, for any Christian person listening, it doesn't mean that you don't trust God. He wants you to take ownership. He never forces you to anything. And I think we often think that someone else might be responsible for helping us out, right? But we outsource a lot, and that was very much my lifestyle. I would outsource, medical knowledge. I would outsource. It was obvious for me to think that my kids will go to school because what do I know? And the government will tell me what to do today, and what kind of job I need to whatever perform or whatever else, you know. But but that also translated into thinking, okay, I've got issues, who's going to help me, you know, who's going to sort it out. And whilst we do need help and support of our friends and family, and if you're married to your husband, to your wife, it's very important that like only we can say yes to growth, to expansion, to healing, to forgiveness, to a different life, to going on the journey of transforming whatever needs transformation and whatever is not life giving. And so this was I say that about I think every single point, one of the best things I've ever learned, and the best sort of like it gave me such a huge shift in how I approach things, how I believed things. And there's just so much science around just this idea of how we see and perceive and think, and our thought life, and how it impacts our reality and our physicality, and even our look and expressions, and how our face is shaped, how our body is, you know. Like we know that high cortisol will make you inflamed and look more puffy, and just like so many different things. Why do we have high cortisol? Because we perceive the world in a certain way, because we struggle regulating, because we struggle with difficult moments, because we see all the negative in the world, or maybe there is a bit like, you know, a time of like a lot of challenges, but like, you know, being able to have to create intention for believing that things can be different, and that's for whether you're Christian or not Christian. Like, you know, science confirms that intention, belief, faith brings healing into our body, you know, like we know that. And then the lack of hope, like body will follow with that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here, and let me know what you think. I know it's quite a lot of content. If you're interested in me exploring any of the topics in more detail, let me know. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.